house with O'Con. Hey, O'Con in your house. Hollywood in your house. Hypocrisy's head in the clouds. Curating all kind of loud. Wrestling in front of the crowds. Paragon's holding it down. Anybody can get it. Come to us for your news and opinions. We got a voice. There is no choice. Wisdom voice in your house making wrestling noise. Moving fast, it's like cruiserweight action. In your house is a perfect distraction. Papa see your ears when you in traction. Get this work with some wrestling action. Smug.
What's up, guys? What's cracking? The Con-Man, and I'm in your house. We here. We're ready to make a movie. I hope you guys are ready to make a movie. I hope you guys are with the shits. Because, hey, we're with the shits. And we're ready to talk a little wrestling. That's right. You already know the vibes. Anytime we slide on through, we're here to give you that work when it comes to this professional wrestling business. And you guys already know how this goes, all right? It's another week. And that means it's another week of wrestling. Because guess what? Wrestling don't stop. It just keeps on going. This is a regular thing here, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, it's Wednesday. And you guys out there in the household know what that means. That means it is time for another episode of The Raw Deal with Howse and O'Neal. And without further ado, I'm going to bring my co-host on here right now. And of course, that is Divinely Designed Annie O'Neal. Welcome back.
What's up, Con? This was another amazing episode of Raw. I know about me, but I definitely know about you. We're ready to talk all about everything that we saw. Perfect episode of Raw after SummerSlam, and I was entertained every minute.
Yes, no, I definitely agree with you there, and we're definitely going to get into it. So, of course, as we've done, it's become a tradition on the show, I have to ask you, how's your last week been, Annie?
You know, it's been very positive. There are some really awesome opportunities that are finally coming to manifestation. I mean, you know about that. Like, when you put the work, you yield the results. And I want to just keep everyone surprised because I'm a little troll and I love keeping I can't reveal the surprise. I can't. But, you know, when I'm on the up and up, so is everyone who's along for the ride. So it's going to be fun.
Yes, no, I
Jiu-Jitsu's really good.
Yeah.
I have my first women's BJJ retreat this weekend.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
I'm so excited.
Right on.
So that's going to be fun. Yes. And, you know, I am oftentimes the only woman who's on the mat because, I mean, that's just what it is. So it's going to be fun to catch up with other jiu-jitsu girlies who just have a love of the same sport. So it's going to be great. I'm really excited for that. How about you? What's going on? You have so many different things going on. Catch us up.
So much going on. So it's back to school, you know, so that means the kids is back in school.
Yep.
So I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I'm you know, I can relate to the fact that, you know, you got a few things percolating, a few things that's going on for you right now that's manifesting. Kind of things are like that are happening for me currently right now. So like just, you know, trying to stay ready so I don't have to get ready, you know, and being in that mindset and always staying locked in and ready to go. So it's been a positive week. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. It's been a positive week.
Yeah.
But as you know, Annie, it's been a very positive week for professional wrestling. I mean, this last week has been a hell of a week, my God. I mean, from SummerSlam to this amazing Monday Night Raw to a little bit of NXT. We're not going to dig deep into NXT, but we're definitely going to talk about the biggest story coming in NXT. But man, and we're going to get to that, folks. We're going to get to that. But Annie, I got to start off with, you know, what's been going on here. I know we talked a little bit about it last week, and then we talked about it on our Sunday house party, and that's the emergence of Gunther as the world heavyweight champion. Ooh. And my goodness, a different standard was most definitely set, and I loved it. I honestly, okay, so just kind of digging deep into this a little bit. First off, I liked the return of Ludwig Kaiser, and if Ludwig Kaiser just wants to introduce him every single week, just go ahead and do it, because that was epic. I mean, I don't know what you thought about that, but I thought he was on point with his announcement.
You know, and there's just so many different things that we have to anticipate. You know, there's so many different moving parts of the whole, but there's so many different characters that's happening for Ludwig, the newly crowned champion. I'm really happy for Gunther, and he's a workhorse. Okay, he is the definition of progression. Like, we've seen, you know, how he first started out, and then like opportunity after opportunity, and he doesn't deny himself what he wants. It's, you know, all of the things that he outwardly projects, he is the embodiment of. Like, not only does he say that his prestige has put him on these platforms, but he puts that into action. And it's so satisfying, because not only does he exude excellence, he is excellence. And to see him and Randy Orton go toe-to-toe and bash in the Berlin, like, it's going to be another visual treat for all of the fans who are tuning in. Like, fans are being heavily rewarded right now, and it's just really exciting to see.
It is. It really is. I really like what you said as far as just the continued excellence of Gunther. So, like, when I think of somebody like Gunther, like, there's just a few people here that I could think of that I think of like perennial winners, like just one on every single level. Like, I think of names like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know, I think of names like Bill Russell, and I'm talking about people who have won Olympic gold and world championships and collegiate championships, like Asia Wilson in the WNBA, who's won on every single level. Like, that's what I think of when I see Gunther, is a perennial winner who's won and been at the best that they could be at every single level. And like, it's kind of great to see somebody come to age like that, you know?
Right. And you know what? One thing that I really enjoyed about the storyline between Damian Priest and Gunther is their polarity in motion. Like, they're opposing forces, but they're entirely opposites of each other. But they, like, that polarity doesn't exist without that symmetry. Like, everything that we've heard that Damian Priest has gone through, Gunther is the opposite of it, and just they're just parallels that simultaneously coexist, and it's just really interesting. Like, even though we heard Gunther go on and on about his privilege, I mean, like, you can't it serves him, but like, he proves himself,
right?
Even though he's had a lot of doors open for him, like, he shows why he deserves it. And even though, like, I mean, he can come off as a flagrant asshole, obviously, but he knows what he is. And like, that's how many people do you know have that self-assuredness, that strong belief in their selfhood? And like, that's why people react the way to Gunther that they do, is because, like, people want what Gunther has, but are they willing to put in the work Gunther has in order to achieve it?
That's a great point.
That's excellence to me. That's what I think makes you excellent.
Yes.
You walk the walk, not only talk the talk, but like, that yields physical results.
Yes.
Like, I absolutely appreciate Gunther in so many different ways. And, you know, I've heard a recent criticism that Gunther isn't, like, he's old school.
Yes.
He is.
But I like that, though.
And,
like,
yeah, please. I want to. What are your thoughts on some of the things that are coming out of my mouth hole? I hear myself talk. I want to hear you talk.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Like, he's old school, but
Yeah.
like, he's not old school in a way where it's like corny, like in the 80s or 90s, where it's like, America bad, my country good. You know, like, it's not like so just cheesy. It's more like, this guy,
Not tired.
yes, like he knows who he is. He knows where he's from. He represents Europe, Austria, specifically where he's from. And he just carries that. He carries his home country with him, and like just naturally because he's working in America. People are going to be like, oh, look at this smug foreign asshole. But he's just, Gunther's really just being Gunther. He's had every opportunity, and every opportunity that's been given to him, he has knocked it out of the park, and it just is what it is. And so, like, as far as Gunther,
I mean, how long was his IC reign?
666 days.
Okay, like, that doesn't come without the ability to back it up.
Right. On even when he was in WWE 2K, or not 2K, UK, that is, when he was in WWE UK, he was the longest reigning WWE UK champion there. So, like, every level that he's been on, he's been just on another level. And, like, now it makes sense that he would be here right now. And the biggest thing about that is, think about it how when Sami Zayn beat him at WrestleMania, it meant something. Because beating Gunther means something. When somebody finally beats him for that title, I promise you it's going to mean something.
Absolutely. And like just the ways that he put Sami Zayn over in the process of that happening was so memorable. And I can't wait to see what is next for Gunther. Like, one thing I really do appreciate before we move on is like how he tells such a story without saying any words.
Yeah.
That's a true like tactician to me. And that, like, give or take, like what you what people personally feel about Gunther, like regardless of that, you can't take your eyes off of him. Like, that's a mark of a true champion to me.
No,
so,
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. And so we're marching into the Bash in Berlin, and it looks like we've got his first opponent set, Annie. It's going to be none other than the Viper, Randy Orton, which I got to tell you, I'm really excited for this match. The last time they tangled in King of the Ring, it was a really good match. And like, I got to tell you real quick, going back to King of the Ring, when those two fell together in the bracket, I thought to myself, wow, this is a match I did not know I wanted to see. And it's great. And it's going to be even greater at Bash at Berlin. But like, what are you thinking? What's your thoughts? I just want to get some of your thoughts as far as like Gunther. We're obviously moving in a direction with him where he's going right into a big title defense against Randy Orton. What are you thinking about Randy Orton being his first title defense and that being in Berlin? That's going to basically be in his backyard.
I was just about to say, like, there has to be some home field advantage at play.
Yeah.
It's you know what? And I think he's going to do justice to that belt that he just won, especially against Randy Orton. Like, this is real life dream matchmaking, and we get to see it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, I'm so over the moon because you know what happens when Randy Orton steps between those ropes. Just, it's poetry and motion, and it makes me wish I paid attention in physics class. But and, you know, as a future Hall of Famer, like, he's going to bring Gunther to an even greater height. And it's just going to be so satisfying to watch it. And I'm excited. I love wrestling. This is why we do what we do. This is
true.
I'm already excited, and I'm only going to be more excited as we get closer to Bash in Berlin.
True. I really like the promo between the two. I like Randy making basically the comparisons between the two, and I was like, wow, like I can see I can see Gunther, like, if I was thinking Gunther, I could definitely see somebody like a Randy Orton, but then mix in a little Dean Malenko in there as well, like, because, my God, all the stuff that Gunther can pull out, his arsenal is so endless, like, it's ridiculous. He can put you away with the sleeper. He can put you away with the power bomb. He can put you away with the Boston Crab. He can put you away with the Texas Cloverleaf. Right. Like, this man has endless, like, finishers, and, like, that, I appreciate that about Gunther, that he is like OG Tony said here in the chat, he is a true pro wrestler, and I truly appreciate that about Gunther. And you know what? I'm a firm believer, like, you're only as good as your opponent. So you need someone that, like, at Randy Orton's level of greatness to pull even more greatness out. And, like, it's just so exciting to see. Like, I kind of try to stay away from terms like natural, because with a growth mindset, you can achieve anything. Like, I really do believe that. But we get to witness two naturals in the ring, and I don't say that lightly. You're not wrong. It's most definitely a great thing to see as far as what this match can do for, you know, not just for Gunther, but also Randy Orton. He's probably, like, hungry to get in there with Gunther again, you know, wanting that opportunity. Do you think Randy Orton's ever going to reach his prime? Because I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if that's possible for Randy Orton. He just doesn't, like, the way he doesn't stop is ridiculous. Like, he's literally one of the most consistent performers in WWE history, and it's really great to see. And to still see him sharpening iron with somebody as great as Gunther, I mean, that's just great in itself. This is going to be great this is just an amazing first title defense for Gunther, and I love the fact that there was continuity, because they were like, hey, remember when we fought at King of the Ring, my shoulders weren't down. I remember that, because I was like, that man's shoulders were up. So I love the continuity. I remember the IWC melting down. Yep. Yes, because Randy Orton doesn't forget. I love it. Full circle. So, and that's what's leading us to this great match that we're going to be getting. So I'm excited for that. It's going to be great at Bash and Berlin, and I'm enjoying what we're getting so far from our guy Gunther. But man, Monday Night Raw has been really across the board, honestly. I mean, we just gushed about Gunther. We gushed about him being champion. I mean, what about everything that's going on with Judgment Day, technically 3.0? This is Judgment Day 3.0, the third iteration of the Judgment Day. So we started out... Third generation. Yes, we started out with, of course, Edge and Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. And then they kicked Edge out and brought in Finn Balor and eventually Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough. So now the third iteration is Finn and Dom and JD. Now Carlito is now officially in the group, and Liv Morgan, who, man, what have we been saying? We've been saying this for weeks, that Liv Morgan is trying to take everything from Rhea Ripley. And Annie, it looks like she effectively did it. She did it. You know what? I don't think Liv Morgan received enough credit for how diabolical she was in her scheming. And, left to my own devices, I start scheming too. Maybe she watched too much, like, Pinky and the Brain as a child. Something, I don't know. But she did it with a smile on her face. Yep. And she just has this effective way of making that come to fruition. She got the man, she got the friends, she got the belt, and honestly, I didn't give Liv Morgan enough credit. I really missed the ball on that one, because damn, God, like how the tables have turned. Yeah, it's really crazy to think about. She has the title, she has the man, he has the whole family. I mean, and like, it's crazy to think because I did not see this a few months ago from Liv Morgan at all. I never like Liv Morgan. I was always like, there's Liv Morgan. It's, I appreciate her as a wrestler, but like, she's not really, I'm not connecting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not connecting. Now I'm connected with Liv Morgan, and I'm like, everything that Liv Morgan is doing, I'm paying attention to because she has developed and grown into such a way where it's like, whoa, you became something completely different than I ever thought that you could be. For me, it harkened back to, I always remember, back in the day, I remember Bayley as Hugger Bayley. And I was like, oh, she could never be a heel. She could never. She's just the ultimate babyface. And then she grew into a top heel. And I was just, that took me aback. I was like, wow, okay, Bayley can turn it to a different level if she needs to. This is what I'm seeing with Liv Morgan. Seeing her take it to a different level that I didn't think she can go to. And I love, every single time I say that about a talent, I absolutely love being proven wrong.
Absolutely. You know what? One thing that really drives me in my understanding is how do the inner machinations of someone's brain function? What drives them? What is the purpose of their behavior?
Right.
And you know what? I was wrong about Liv Morgan. And that's one thing that really fascinates Liv Morgan. One thing that I'm really fascinated by. And how pure do you think her intentions are for Dominic are? How do you feel about that?
That's a good question because I remember in past weeks she said she's going to throw him away. She's going to throw him away. But now that she has the entire faction surrounding her, I think she's going to reap the benefits of being in that situation for a while before inevitably I could see that happening. But I think we're going to see her be a part of this for a while because she's reaping the benefits. She has JD and Finn on her side, Carlito's on her side. She is surrounded. So like it's going to, when Rhea Ripley finally gets her hands on Liv Morgan, it's going to mean something because they're going to block Rhea Ripley every single time, and I think that's beneficial for Liv Morgan. With the way that Rhea Ripley is pissed at her right now, she does not need to be running through those locker rooms by herself at all. So I think she's continuing to play these games and play it smart like how we've seen Liv do for the last few months. I mean, I'm not underestimating Liv Morgan anymore. We're way past that point. We are way past the point of underestimating Liv Morgan.
Do you think Dom has a trauma bond with Dangerous Women?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. He loves it.
I think Mommy scrambled his brain when she kidnapped him.
Yeah.
And I think Liv Morgan is dangerous in another way.
Yes, it's, oh my gosh. So I saw something. I think it was in a press conference. I can't remember. I think it was a SummerSlam press conference. Triple H was on the panel, or he was up in front of the panel, that is, and he said, everybody wishes that they could be Dominic Mysterio, and he's like, I don't want to be Dominic Mysterio right now. I do not want to be in his spot at all. And like, I get it because like everybody's like, oh, I wish I had two women fighting over me, but he's like, no, have you actually had two women fighting over you? You don't really want that.
No. Okay, especially when Liv Morgan, she love bombs. She gives you she wants to make you feel good so she can draw you in. Like,
yeah.
On the outside, you have eyes. I'm sure you know what Liv Morgan looks like and has, obviously, And she's gonna draw you in with her sweet nothings, and
Yeah,
she's
yep.
gonna be very seductive while she does it, and then she's going to swallow you whole.
Yeah.
And I don't,
Yeah.
I don't think Dominic Mysterio realizes as he's being swallowed alive and very slowly at that he's being digested. Con, he's being digested by Liv Morgan.
He is. He's deep in the
Maybe
trenches right now.
Mommy traumatized him too badly to the point where like he just needs to feel safe, and Liv Morgan makes him feel safe.
Yes,
mean,
I foresee a prediction that pretty soon here, maybe in the next couple of years, he's going to be calling his dad like, "Dad, I need your help." I can see it. Crawling on back.
Oh, and I've seen Rhea Ripley when she's mad. Do you want to be on the receiving end of that? I mean,
Yes,
I don't know. Like, the scare arousal is abundant. I mean, it's definitely makes you question some things, but that's okay.
Oh man,
okay.
Rhea Ripley. Gotta love Rhea Ripley. Well, like I said, I'll keep that to myself, but we'll move on. Moving on here.
No, I want to hear, like, now you said something that piqued my interest, and I don't want to let it go. But for the show's sake, I will.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess for the record, I would be dominated by Rhea Ripley, and I'd be okay with it. So, anyway, like I was saying, moving on next to the show here on The Raw Deal with Howse and O'Neal. Let's talk about Finn Balor. Let's talk about Finn Balor, though. Finn Balor, who, once again, I've been talking about Finn Balor for months, literal months. And to me, this is exactly what needed to happen in the time that it needed to happen. We've called it for the last couple of weeks, honestly. And, man, so we saw it coming, but it was still satisfying because we knew that, so this was after, so in SummerSlam, as it happened, it was Dom screwed over Ripley first, and then later on in the night, Finn Balor screwed over Damian Priest. So when that happened, in my mind, and I think I put it in the house call too, I was like, the Judgment Day is over, because that felt like the last chink there where it was like, okay, this is the big implosion right here when the second one, when the second betrayal happened. I was like, but I said Judgment Day was over, and I was wrong because we still have an iteration of the Judgment Day, but I think the Judgment Day as we knew it is over.
Right. I agree with that.
So it was really an interesting thing. And then Finn's promo. I want to talk about Finn's promo for sure. Finn came up, and it was very close up on Finn's face. And Finn was like, we agreed there was going to be no leaders, and when you did what you did to me, hearkening back to a year ago, he was like, I was waiting to do this, and I'll be there to stab you in the back again and again and again and again. And then the big moment where, this was, to me, and they did it so good too, when the camera came back, then everybody, Carlito comes into the frame, JD comes into the frame, Liv and Dom come into the frame. It was like, ooh, like they was all in on it. And at that point, you saw the anger in Damian Priest's face. You kind of heard it in the crowd too. What was you thinking in your mind, Annie, when you saw them come together and boom, there's still a Judgment Day, but there's not a Judgment Day with Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley.
First thing I want to point out is I feel like Finn Balor is a hypocrite.
Oh, okay.
He's the line where he said, "You said there were no leaders." Well, he's in the center of the group.
Yeah.
Looking like he is
presumably the leader.
Exactly. And that's just what my eyes saw. And how long has this animosity for Damian Priest been just brewing? And I'll take it a step further. How long were they planning this entire time when they were fronting like all of them were a cohesive unit? Were they just planning someone else's demise? Because I'm thinking about that. Were these I don't know. I don't want people who might feel like they're outliers standing in the shadow of someone else's greatness. Yeah. Were they just planning to basically stage a mutiny the entire time? Because I feel like this was the first moment where Carlito was actually solidified as a moment or as a true member of Judgment Day. Yeah. No one before this point, did anyone else actually want him there? And that's not a strong enough bond for me. Like feeling like I don't know, like a fifth wheel. Like, is that like you're the token member of the Judgment Day?
Yeah, that's you're making points. You're making good points.
And you know what? Damian Priest got the job done. When is the last time Finn Balor has held a title? Let's just throw it out there.
Hey, only thing he's been touching is tag team gold, and that's about it.
And you still need someone else's help to get there. So could Finn do it all alone? Can he do it without being surrounded by his flacky? I don't know. Because I feel like Finn Balor he'll touch greatness instead of actually be great. Because he rode Damian Priest's coattails along the way.
Oh, hot take city.
Finn Balor would not be in the position he is in without it being Damian Priest's sloppy just seconds. I'm just saying.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Finn Balor.
The big haters never want to examine why they're haters in the first place.
That is a good point. And I can say this, like I said, I've been saying for months, pay attention to what Finn Balor is doing. He's been hating on Damian Priest in the background. He's been saying, oh, you changed ever since you became champion. All the breadcrumbs have been there. They've been right there given to you if you've been paying attention and watching. Now the question is, what's going to happen for Finn Balor past this Damian Priest feud? Because it's like we've talked about now that, and it really happened. Like I've been talking about it for the last couple of days with different people, and I think a lot of people agree that, man, it was one of those cases where Damian Priest lost the championship, but became a bigger star in losing the championship. And he 100%. Feels bigger. He feels bigger. So, like, I guess my question is for you is like, I think we know that the trajectory of Damian Priest can go right back to the World Heavyweight Championship picture after this Finn Balor feud is done. My question for you is, after the Finn Balor and Damian Priest feud is done, what's going to be next for Finn Balor?
Ooh. I'm just going to throw that back to my original point, because Finn Balor wouldn't touch greatness if it wasn't for Damian Priest. So, and you know what? And more proof I'm going to throw to my statement, because your girl loves facts. Yeah. So I'm just going to hit our listeners with some facts.
Absolutely.
So Damian Priest can function without being in a group. You know, when he was ousted from his family, supposedly, allegedly, he gained a whole larger family. And that was the people in the audience when he delivered that promo.
Yeah.
You know, he said that he lost his family and he gained an even greater one. And it was the family that was present in Maryland. So, and you know what? Who knows? Judgment Day might contend with Wyatt Six down the line. That they certainly have the team or the team numbers to make that happen.
I like that. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that could definitely be next for the Judgment Day past the Damian Priest thing. Is most definitely something with the Wyatt Six. I really like that. That's really something that's something I didn't even know I wanted to see, but now I do want to see it. And we're definitely going to get to the Wyatt Six. I have a lot of thoughts on the Wyatt Six, and I know you do too. I definitely know you do too. And that's great. And this right here is a great episode here that we're giving you guys. And we truly appreciate you sliding in. Myself and Annie, we're going to take a little break. We're going to pay some bills. And when we come back, we're going to continue to talk Monday Night Raw.
Do you like comedy? Have you ever done it? Have you ever thought about going up on stage and telling some of those jokes that your family and friends just love to hear? Well, now you have the opportunity. Every Thursday night, starting February 15th at Cooper's Pub, we are doing an open mic. The Kokomo Press is doing an open mic at Cooper's Pub in the downstairs comedy den. It's going to be awesome. It's going to start at 8 p.m. on Thursdays, February 15th. And we're going to be doing open mic with 10 to 15 spots for each comedian at 5 minutes a spot. Do not hesitate to sign up. Sign-ups will be at 7:30 physically down there in the bar. Or if you want to, you can sign up early. All you have to do is message our page at the Kokomo Press. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have drinks and we're going to have food specials. And it's all a part of Cooper's Pub. You just go straight in, and instead of making a right, you make a left, you go downstairs, you make a left, and you're right down there in the comedy den. Myself and Brian Allen West are excited to see you, and we'll also have friends that you may know, like Jordan Bell, a.k.a. Hypocrisy Jones, Sean Dalrymple, a local comedian we love, and even Courtney Richardson. You're going to see us all out there. We're going to be having a blast. And again, it starts February 15th, but after that, it's every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the comedy den downstairs at Cooper's Pub. Hope to see you there.
Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to In Your House. And shout out to our good friends over there at the Kokomo Press. They do a lot of great work putting out those comedy shows, and they do real great podcasting, talking comedy, current events. Check out what they do there with those comedy shows. They're really doing something really cool, putting people on, and then their Saturday shows really hit different when they do those. And of course, I just want to go ahead and show some love to the voice, Josh Joseph, out there in the chat. He's coming to the chat. He said he had some dad stuff to do. That's all right, bro. Same here, so I get it. But I want to thank you guys out there in the household. We appreciate you guys because you guys have given us the 5 stars, making sure that we're staying charted, doing everything that needs to be done, that we're asking of you to make sure this podcast stays where it needs to be at. We got things moving. Of course, you guys know we had the Sunday house party, and it was a great episode, truly a great episode. I listened back to it, and man, it was just fun. You could feel the fun that was coming off of that one. And then Monday night, they had the Raw preview show, Window Lickers. That was another great episode. And of course, we're giving you guys right here the Raw deal with Howse O'Neal. So you already know them vibes. We give it to you guys. The ECW watch-alongs, we're going to give you another one this week, and then Grun's going to do his thing with Grun's Room. But getting back into Monday Night Raw, I gotta talk a little bit about this CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins situation, and we're definitely going to talk about the Seth Rollins situation a little bit more because there's a lot that I want to talk about and unpack from there. But okay, so I think you're in agreement here, Annie. This Drew McIntyre CM Punk thing, it's not over, right?
Not by a long shot. Not by a long shot. And it's just rich storytelling. Like, it's everything seems so personal, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of like self-reflection involved. And honestly, I love it. I love it. It's an organized, messy train wreck, and I'm along for the ride. Seriously, it's whew. I really loved the more serious tone that we've been seeing from Seth because you know, he can be this whimsical, very high vibrational person, larger than life personality, but like a chord was struck with this man. Like something inside of him was shaken after this match occurred. Especially the one at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know how more personal that it could get from everyone involved. And they have to keep revamping the ceiling because they keep breaking it and surpassing it each time we get to see these guys in the ring.
Yeah. I'm so I don't know if we're eventually leading to a triple threat. I do definitely think that we're about to go and do we're about to go into Drew McIntyre and CM Punk part 2, most definitely. And the promo was good, don't get me wrong, but now that we've talked about it, I think we're both in agreement. There's no shocker here that we feel like that it's going to be a situation where these two are going to go at it again. And once they go at it, it's going to be something of epic proportions. But to me, the big story here is what happened to Seth Rollins. So,
right.
Yeah, I really want to dig into that. And, voice, yes, I did see a little bit of that Seth cam. He was hilarious. I will say that. He was hilarious on that referee cam. That was good stuff. But I definitely want to talk about what happened with Bronson Reed. So Bronson Reed earlier in the night said he was going to have to make a statement if he was going to get any attention from our commissioner. And boy, did he make a statement with, was it 5 or was it 6 tsunamis? It was a lot of doggone tsunamis.
I was just about to ask you the same thing because, wow, I think it was 6.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
too.
Thinking. Like,
yeah.
And he's another man of action. Like Gunther, as I was saying earlier, like, way to make a statement without using any words. Big Bronson Reed, and oh my God, I felt the rib pain, man. I get crushed beneath big people all the time, and receiving a tsunami, and that's how it's applied. Craziness. Like, I felt like we witnessed pancake Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yes.
Like, it was pretty brutal. And I don't know, like, did Seth start coughing up blood? Is that what happened?
He was bleeding internally, yes. I love that little touch right there that he was bleeding internally.
What?
And it was a crazy...
You know what? Like... And, like, why Seth Rollins? That's what I'm interested... Like, what drove that selection? Of all of the people who Bronson Reed could ambush, why Seth Rollins?
It's a great question. I think because Seth Rollins is pretty much a symbol of success in the WWE. He's done everything. So the mindset I believe is if you wanna get straight to the top, you take out the top guy. And I felt like his mindset was, all right, I'm just gonna go right to taking out a top guy, and boy did he ever.
And I want to call to mind like how simple Bronson Reed's moveset is, but how impactful he makes it seem. Like, well, they are. I mean, I think his a Death Valley Driver is not a complicated move at all, but it's his larger than life energy that he exudes. Like, I'm going to rip a man in half, and he's going to do it effectively. Like, every movement that Bronson Reed made, like, it was purposeful. And I love when someone can issue a statement like that without even opening their mouth. Like, that's just insane to me.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly what he did, is he made an absolute statement. And, like, so one thing I always heard about, like, finishers and whatnot, because Bronson Reed's finisher is not, like you said, not complicated. His moveset's not complicated. But a splash. Everybody at some point does a splash. And I forget where I heard it from. I wish I could reference it. But I always heard that it doesn't matter, like, how simple the finisher is if you're the best at doing it.
Seriously.
It doesn't matter how simple the move is if
you know what?
you're the best at doing it.
And he's definitely something to keep your eye on. And I feel bad for the next time that Seth Rollins meets Bronson Reed in the ring. And he's been taking on people like Pete Dunne and Sheamus.
Yeah.
And just like, I don't know, maybe he doesn't have a cause. He's just doing what needs to be done in order to be taken even more seriously.
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
What do you think is next for Bronson Reed?
Well, I mean, okay. The interesting thing about Bronson Reed is that he's been floating around the card for a while. And with him floating around the card, it hasn't been a thing where it's like he's got something definite that he's been doing. I feel like that with this Seth feud, it's going to put him in the direction of, if he can, okay, so think about it. If he could pick up a win over Seth Rollins, you can start putting him, all right, we see him differently now. We see him as somebody who could quite possibly get into the upper mid card. Maybe we can give him an IC title reign. You start thinking differently with him. And I think that's the point of the Seth Rollins feud. I think we're going to see a stage in Seth Rollins' career where he's going to start putting over talent. And I think it's going to start with Bronson Reed. And then I think, boom, we're just going to take off with Bronson Reed from there.
Okay, I want to pick your brain on something.
Okay.
What do you think of Bronson Reed entering that IC title picture?
Ooh.
Bronson Reed versus Braun Breaker. What do you think about that booking?
I think it's good. I think it's good for both men, honestly. I think it's good for the IC championship. I think that, I feel like it's really good because, honestly, I can see a face turn coming very soon for Breaker. I mean, there's and not
interesting.
Not because he's going to do anything different. It's because people are going to just gravitate towards him. People are already in the crowd doing his bark, the woo, 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 woo. So, people are just naturally, getting behind this dude. And I feel like that a great test for his title run would be somebody like Bronson Reed. And I think it'd be really great if it was a Bronson Reed who's fresh off of a victory over Seth Rollins, one of the top guys of the company. That's just going to make that title match just look that much more, legitimate looking on paper.
Yes. I can't wait to see, hopefully, because that's just what became a match I didn't know I wanted to see.
Yeah.
And I just love two vicious, opponents who see nothing but red and bodies just start hitting the floor. I love it.
That's a match I could see being all over the place, to be honest with you.
Right.
Ringside, maybe a little bit out into the crowd, bring it back in the ring, somebody getting speared through a barricade, so much different things you could do. I wouldn't go this far, but because I don't think they're that big, but it would be interesting to have them do a power bomb spot, and then we get a little callback to back when a couple times the rings collapsed in a match. So that'd be interesting too. So hey, you never know.
Yes.
But I like the thought. I really do.
And
that works for me.
Yes. I think that would be a really fun match for Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. The names almost sound synonymous.
Yeah. Bronson, Braun.
We need more variation in the name.
Well,
right.
there's
Braun. Yeah,
there's
exactly.
3 Brauns on Monday Night Raw. What are we doing? You got Braun Breaker, you got Bronson Reed, and you got Braun Strowman.
My little baby brain gets confused.
It's 3. We don't need that many. Somebody's going to have to take one for the team. Somebody's going to take one for the team and get a name change. I think that it should be Breaker, and I think he should be a Steiner. I think he should be a Steiner.
Why doesn't he have that? Why doesn't he have the namesake?
I don't know.
Why?
I've been complaining about that.
I mean, I know
I complained about
Brian
it so long I
Pillman
stopped
Jr.
complaining about it. Yeah, Pillman changed his name on his own.
I mean, I really like that from about him. Like, not everyone wants to live in the family name.
Yeah, for sure.
He wants a solid identity away from what he's grown up with. And I honestly, I found that really refreshing because I think he's a big enough character where he doesn't need to follow path. I think
if you're just really carving your own path, like, it's cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, I totally get it, and I also totally get wanting to pay homage and wanting, because like nostalgic minded people, like, they're like, oh, Bronson Steiner, oh, I remember his dad and his uncle in a tag team. I get that, I understand that, but like the trajectory that somebody like Braun Breaker is on is most definitely a part where it's like, okay, he's Braun Breaker. We know that he's, the son of Rick Steiner, but like the trajectory that he's on, we recognize him as Braun Breaker, And
I feel like that would legitimize Braun Breaker even more. Like, and it just depends on the person. It depends on who their family line is. But I really feel like, in this case, I think Braun Breaker would reach a whole nother level if he had the name change.
Yeah. It's a good thought. We didn't see much from Braun Breaker, we didn't see much from Braun Breaker except from a promo, which I don't think that you really needed to see much, honestly. Like, you got something with Breaker, like, that's something where it's like you need to pull him back. And then, like, maybe we'll put him on TV next week or something like that. I think you really gotta flirt with people with Breaker now because he's over. So, like, we don't want to overexpose him, but we don't want to keep him off TV too long either.
I think we just need to ride the moment. Let the dust settle before Braun Breaker reemerges back into the picture, because obviously he made it himself known there. He did the work in order to be considered that champion. So, and plus, I feel like so many of the storylines are title driven right now. Like, the audience needs a break from that because the IC picture isn't going to change.
Yeah.
And because it's title chase. Like, it's really easy to burn the audience out on something like that.
I agree. No, that's why storylines like the Judgment Day implosion is important. That's why storylines like CM Punk and Seth Rollins is important. And even storylines that are starting to come to fruition now, like the New Day and AOP. And we saw the emergence of Odyssey Jones, who's been drafted by Monday Night Raw for over a year, now comes and does. And he had, so the authors of pain are not small men. Like, Akam and Razar are not small men, and Odyssey Jones had them both up at the same time at Sidewalk Slams. That was pretty impressive, I think.
Yes.
But what did you think about seeing Odyssey Jones come and help the New Day dispatch AOP and the Final Testament?
I honestly think it's someone who exudes that big muscle person in the group without trying to do what Big E was, because you can't ever replace Big E. You really can't. He's a one of a kind talent, but it was really cool to see someone have similar energy but carve it in their own way. Did you sense some animosity from Xavier Woods?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
I saw a look, Con. I don't know what that was about, but I know what my eyes see, and I saw a look.
Yep, I saw it too.
Where do you think that came from? What do you think the energy was behind that?
So this has been a lightweight discussion that's been had a little bit, and I want to bring it up here. I think that everybody's thinking, oh, we're going to have Odyssey Jones as the Big E replacement. And like you said, you can't really replace Big E. I just don't think that's anything we need to try to do, it's not going to be a good look. I don't think it's going to help Odyssey Jones.
I think the tag team chemistry is once in a lifetime thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Like New Day in and of itself in its original run is magic. It really is. Like you can sense how much these people love being in this unit together. And that's not, you can't replicate that. You can't.
Yeah.
So you no. Go ahead. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in.
Before I continue a little bit more, I just want to say, like, Voice is saying that AOP bores him, and he says Cross is, wanting to make him blind, and he doesn't want to hear him. I get what you're saying, man. And here's, like, I got to add to that. I will say this. Final Testament has not been hitting. Like, I wish that it was, but, like, I don't understand where we're going with them. I know they're trying to build something with, and I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that because I know he's trying to build something with Xavier Woods.
Yes, please.
But yes, just it seems like the idea of Final Testament was really cool, and it just seems like even they were on SmackDown, they couldn't find any footing. Now they're on Monday Night Raw, still can't find any footing. Like I said, I want them to succeed because I honestly like Karrion Kross. I really do. AOP, I give or take because they don't make an impact to me. Like they're competitors, right. Don't get me wrong, but like they don't make. I don't remember them. I just don't. Like.
But how many big powerful people are already on the roster?
Great, that's the one right there. There's already so many already there. Like, how do you make me not care about seeing Paul Ellering? Like, I'm sorry. Like. It's tough. Like I want them to succeed. Don't get me wrong, because once again, I'm a huge Karrion Kross guy. I know, Voice, you're saying you don't like him. I like him. I think he can bring something. I remember his indie run with MLW and everything that he can bring. He's a great talent. I just don't think he's being booked in a way that is complementary to him and his strengths, and I'll leave it at that. Now, going back to the Xavier Woods stuff, I think what's going to happen, because we're seeing some reluctancy from Xavier Woods, listen here, Annie, one thing about the New Day is that they've touched success many, many times. We've seen Big E. He's become a WWE champion. We've seen Kofi Kingston. He's become a WWE champion. Who has not been a WWE champion? Xavier Woods. What's he touched besides being a multi-time tag team champion? A King of the Ring that didn't mean anything and led to nothing. So, I think that it's time we put a little focus here on Xavier Woods. I think X is going to turn on Kofi Kingston. We're going to see the final nail in the coffin of the New Day. That's going to be done because what we're going to see is Xavier Woods in his villain arc, in his heel era with Odyssey Jones as his heavy. And I think that we're going to see a new Xavier Woods. And it's going to be because of the whispers that Karrion Kross put in Xavier Woods' head. The doubt that he created inside Xavier Woods is going to drive Woods to turn on his New Day buddy and venture off into something all on his own with Odyssey Jones watching his back.
I remember that. What did he say when Kofi, what was he injured? He couldn't compete that night. What did Karrion say to Xavier?
Oh, I'm trying.
That's a great point you bring up, Con.
It's. I'm trying to remember that, but that's the thing. That's where we're going with that. Is that this is all stemming back from Karrion Kross getting inside Xavier Woods' head.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to reveal the problem with Final Testament.
Okay.
And I don't know if our viewers are ready for it, but Karrion Kross has hair.
Oh, that's the yes.
He was scarier.
Bingo.
He was scarier when he was bald.
Yes, bingo.
Scarier when he was bald. And that's all I'm going to say on that front because I agree with what Voice says. The fans should be afraid of Authors of Pain. They should be afraid of the stable of the Final Testament. Everything in a textbook they have to strike fear in the hearts of the viewers, but Karrion Kross has hair.
He just messed it up for everybody. He messed it up for everybody. Shave that off, man. Go back to that. I don't understand it. And I want to. So, earlier you referenced hey, what if we saw a Judgment Day versus Wyatt Six feud? And I was like, ooh, yeah, I didn't even know I wanted that. That was great. I would not be interested in the slightest bit in a Wyatt Six Final Testament feud. Don't give that to me. I don't want that in the slightest bit at all.
Funny you bring that up because I was going to ask you about that. How you would feel about
I wouldn't want to see it. It's because right now, and so here's the number one reason why I do not want to see that. Because right now, Wyatt Six is feuding with, American Made, which we'll get to the new name and everything. I love the new look and I love it. Great. Definitely screams Team Angle vibes. But the thing is, they're feuding with them, so it's going to be like, what's next? And if they go from a feud with a stable that is emerging, like American Made is going to get past the Wyatt Six, and then they're going to go on and probably do some great things. And if they went into a feud with the Final Testament, and this is not just because I'm not vibing with the Final Testament. To me, them going and feuding with the Final Testament feels like a step down when they should be stepping up.
Agree. No one likes a wet blanket, Con.
Yeah. I don't. It's like
that triggers my sensory issues. Okay.
I want to see them go in good places, and right now, Final Testament is just what they're a testament to mediocrity, and that's exactly what they are. And it's like just
a bunch of people just sitting and catering who have nothing to do, and they're just gonna go on live air and play rock paper scissors.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand the structure of the stable really. Like, why do we have two managers? What's Paul Ellering's role anyway? I don't even know. Like, I like Paul Ellering. Don't get me wrong. Like, I do. I mean, he managed the freaking, Road Warriors. I mean, way back when. But, like, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to sit up here and just keep bashing the Final Testament. I promise I'm not.
But seriously, I was making this point a few weeks ago. Final Testament reminds me of, like, people who wanted to recreate like a Mad Max cosplay.
Yeah. That's the one right there.
And not in a fun way, because I enjoy Mad Max.
That's tough. That's a tough comparison.
I'm sorry, I put that stank on it for you. Jeez. I'm not, but that's just how I feel.
I understand. So, I mean, we got to move on here. We got to keep going here and get back. We were just talking a little bit about the Judgment Day. I want to talk about this match between Damian Priest and JD McDonough. So, like,
so good.
It was way better than what I expected it to be, Annie. Like, I was like, my God. And, like, sometimes because they're focused so much on the character work, which I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with the fact that we're focused on the character work. Sometimes we forget that JD just, he was trying to weasel his way in the group, and then he was, he seemed like he was just like, oh, I just want to be friends with you guys. I just want to be in the group, blah, blah, blah. All in the midst of him getting into the Judgment Day and doing all that stuff, we forget this guy can wrestle his ass off, and he showed that on Monday night as he went against Damian Priest in a good match. I really enjoyed this match, and it was one of those where I was like, it's a Monday night. They're probably not going to do too much, and they gave a lot more than what I expected. What did you think about the match, though?
First of all, JD McDonough reminds me of your like the kid brother or sister that your mom makes you take to places because, they just want to come along.
Yeah.
That's the energy that JD McDonough gives.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that JD McDonough was trained by Finn Balor. And once I realized it, I could see it. I could see it in his motions. The way that he just falls through air. It's like, how did you know how to fall through gravity like that?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see it. And it's like, wow, kid, you got some moxie. You really do. I don't want to hear you talk, but like, we can see you wrestle. That was very surprising. Very, very, very surprising.
Voice says he needs a head reduction. That head is massive, man. What?
I really do feel like JD McDonough's like arch nemesis are doorways.
Oh, yes. It's true. It's so true. It's hilarious.
I'm not even surprised what comes out of my mouth anymore, Con, but that's why I'm on a podcast.
And did you hear the commentary when JD hit Damian Priest with that headbutt? They're like, "Oh, that's like a boulder coming down on you." I was like, "Whoa!"
I mean, but seriously, look at the noggin on Finn Balor. Like when he was making his way through the birth canal, like, dang. Did you hate your mom already?
Jeez.
Like,
Jeez.
Same thing with JD McDonough. Like, damn, you're really using your head.
Yeah. It's double time for sure. It's double time for sure.
Don't get me started, John, because I'm not going to stop.
I was gonna say, like, it's about to be, stand up with Annie O'Neal here. We love it. We love it.
You said we were with the shits, and we really are.
Yes, facts, huge facts. And like, you know who else was with the shits was Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley was really ready to put Liv Morgan and give her that razor's edge through that table, and in comes sleazy Dominic Mysterio with the save. How long do you think it's going to be before Rhea Ripley actually gets her hands on Liv Morgan?
You know what? I think we saw that seed planted at SummerSlam, because at the very beginning of their match, Liv was playing cat and mouse with Rhea.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a while before we see that, because I love the elusive fact that, you know what? I really do feel like Liv is going to evade mommy as long as she can.
Yeah.
Because she Finn Balor and JD McDonough, they're really good at playing head games.
Oh my God. All right. You got a million of them here. Jeez.
I told you.
Good Lord.
We're firing on all cylinders today, Con.
We are. I love it. All right. So I want to ask you another question about this here. You're good. Listen, that's what we're here to do. That's why I love to do this. Absolutely. Let me ask you this. Do you think back in the day we had Chyna and Eddie Guerrero in a match. Do you think with the, I don't know if they're going to do this, but like with the evolution of wrestling and intergender wrestling, do you think there's a possibility that we could see Dominic Mysterio versus Rhea Ripley in a match?
You know what? I had the same thought when I saw all of them in the ring together. I'm like, is this setting up for an intergender match? Yes, please. Book it, WWE. I know people who listen to this podcast, and we need these words to be carried to the people in power. Like, book it, run it, because that would be, I don't know if it's ever been done, but it's a good opportunity. It's good business.
It is. I absolutely think it's good business. I think that you do something like that, let's just normalize it. Like, I'm absolutely down with that. And if you're going to do it, this is absolutely the perfect scenario to do it. I mean, the way they've built everything, it is just a perfect scenario. I would love to see it. And like, it's like Voice said, yes, Chyna was absolutely wrestling dudes. She was the Intercontinental Champion at one point. I mean, and she broke down so many walls. Love Chyna, and like, for me, Rhea Ripley is just like a happy throwback to Chyna. I know Rhea Ripley is Rhea Ripley, don't get me wrong, but definitely those Chyna vibes, and like, I love it. I love it because I love Chyna, you know?
Yeah, and you know what? China broke down so many of the barriers.
God, she
and
did.
a lot of the things that women can do now are because of brave women like China. You know what? If we want
100%.
true equality, let the women wrestle. Yes, we see talented women go head to head with other talented women, but why not let these women showcase more of what they can do and wrestle the men? And you know what? You can book a match without it looking like domestic violence. You can.
Yep.
You don't even have to throw strikes. But that's just a testament to what skills these people are sitting on. Let them wrestle, because I want to see Mommy go head to head with Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
I want to see her go head to head with Finn Balor. They would make magic and memorable moments in the ring. Like, let's book it. Like, there's so many things that are going progressively in wrestling right now. So let's raise the bar even higher.
You know what I would like to see? Hey, you know what I'd like to see? This is just me, and this is just Charlotte Flair versus Randy Orton would hit to me.
Ooh, yes.
That would hit hard to me.
I was talking earlier about how Randy Orton is just this epitome of greatness.
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair is on a similar, if trajectory is that. They would. Oh man, that match would be so great. I don't know if it could be aired.
Oh my gosh!
But it's the match that deserves to be booked. I agree with you.
Yeah,
and you know what? Why? I want to see Nikki Cross wrestle.
Yeah.
Other dudes. I want to see Abby the Witch. You know what? I'll save it. I'll save it for the main event. I'll save it because
we'll definitely
you struck a chord with me. And let's.
Okay.
What else do you want to talk about, Con?
We're about to get to this main event, but I want to send you home with some homework now, because I did this on the ECW watch along, and we did like a cool little 10 guys who you would like to see in ECW that are in the indies right now that you think will fit the ECW vibe. And we did it. I gave it to them. Myself and Voice did it, and it was the next week after that. So next week, here's what I want to do. Me and yourself do this. 5 matches that we think would hit hard between somebody, a woman in the WWE and a man in the WWE. So 5 matches. Like I just gave you.
Yes.
I just gave you Charlotte Flair versus Randy Orton. So 4 more to kind of round out like a card. You know what I'm saying?
I got one for you right now.
Okay.
Otis and Piper Niven.
Ooh, that'd be fire.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but I'm gonna leave the fans leaving them.
Yeah,
wanting more.
Because I got some ideas already brewing in my head, so I'm gonna write some stuff down later and prepare it for next week. But let's get to this main event. Let's talk this main event. And this was, of course, the highly anticipated wrestling debut of the Wyatt Six. And Chad Gable and the Creed brothers, who are excellent dance partners in this main event. American Made is now what they're being called. New theme music, matching gear. And it was great. I loved them coming through the curtain, and Chad was talking his shit as it was coming out. Introduced themselves as American Made. So now they're established as that now. So now we're seeing the Creeds and Chad Gable more established. We also see, lightweight, we're seeing Ivy Nile start to come into the fold too and be influenced by Chad Gable. That's still developing. But really the story here was just, oh my gosh. The Wyatt Six coming out, and they come out to Bray Wyatt's theme. Oh my God. And the entrance, everything was there for me in that entrance. And then the match itself, it wasn't a thing like where the match was even bad. It was a good match. Like, they did their thing, and it wasn't corny. They didn't look like they were dressed corny. It all felt like it made sense. All the odes and love shown to Bray Wyatt throughout the match. And, oh, man, I don't really know what's next for them or where they go from here, but in the moment, that was truly awesome, and I think the crowd was into it too. What did you think about everything that you saw with the Wyatt Six, from the entrance, the tributes that they made, and the actual wrestling abilities from Joe Gacy, Dexter Lumis, and Eric Rowan?
First of all, I knew it was going to be a really good match, but it surpassed my already high expectations. I found it very satisfying how well the Creed brothers and Chad Gable were really solidified as a unit.
Yes.
I think the tag or the stable name could be better than that, but it is.
Sure.
It suits. Like, I think it was really kind of lame, but that's just me being picky.
I thought he was still going to go with something with Alpha Academy or something along those lines, and he went completely different.
Like, maybe even like Alpha America or American Alphas. I don't know. I feel like something like that would have even been more suiting for all of these large men who are in a stable now.
Yeah.
They look like formidable athletes, and I really, really love that. Just how they all fuse like their wrestling backgrounds, and it's also a part of their character. I found that was really, I really appreciated that. I loved Wyatt Six's entrance. It was so memorable. It's something that it's passing light onto a new generation that is just really satisfying.
Yeah.
It really read to me like a physical representation of like a Charmed episode that's spilling over into physical reality, like the music.
Yeah.
It felt like a Charmed episode. And I'm not trying to undercut that, but it's just what my brain contrived.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Abigail the Witch looked like a psycho.
Yep.
She reminded me of one of, like, you've seen the TikTok videos where the little baby's toddling over to a really creepy Halloween decoration.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I knew she is, there's a person underneath, but she was just so still. And, like, it made you forget, like, she's a living, breathing person.
Yeah.
And it's freaky. And I, like, when the scene opened up with just the rocking chair and the lantern, I thought that was a really great moment of service to Bray Wyatt. I just thought that was really cool. How they continue to weave his themes into the set. I mean, obviously. I mean, it's the Wyatt Six, but I just thought that was a really, really cool detail. And I also loved how Uncle Howdy didn't get in the ring at all. And when the Wyatts, they did something awesome, he was just laughing.
Yeah, yep.
And he was just, like, it was, like, maniacally laughing. Like, and you know what? I changed my impression of what I think the Wyatt Six are. I think Uncle Howdy is this megalomaniac who thinks, like, I don't know, he might be like chosen, but he's like imbued with the power of God, but he uses it in the worst negative way ever. Like almost like a cult leader. Like, and and it's even getting over in the commentary, which is so skillful of the commentators. Like he's like, I think Michael Cole said that he was targeting the alone, the abandoned, and the forgotten.
Yep.
And that's and making these people who have been like traumatized or disenfranchised, left behind, like he's making them believe that they are these like Joe Gacy, like Michael Cole put it over, like this person believes he is Huskus the Pig. And I'm like, WWE's playing mind games.
Yeah.
So what are they like supernaturally influenced people, or are they just people who are kind of upside down in their own reality of what they believe to be true? what is your take? Do you have anything to
It's interesting.
expound on?
Yeah, I do. It's interesting that you put it that way. I mean, most definitely. So I feel like it's almost like a double entendre the way they're representing it, because it's like, oh, you guys were forgotten, and Huskus was forgotten, and Mercy, they were forgotten, and Abby the Witch, she was forgotten, and Rambling Rabbit was forgotten. They were left here in this fun house that's been burned down to the ground, and there's nothing left, so they're there and they're forgotten. But also the double entendre is, what were they doing with Nikki Cross before this? What were they doing with Joe Gacy before this? What were they doing with Dexter Lumis before this? Eric Rowan wasn't even signed with the company. The double entendre there to me is that while he has gotten the forgotten, the disenfranchised, the outcast, this was also a beautiful thing because it's people who are very talented. Like when Dexter Lumis was doing his tortured artist gimmick, it was a good gimmick, but it was like, what do you do with him? How do you bring him into today's modern WWE? Because like he was very much giving like serial killer, you know what I'm saying? And then And then Joe Gacy, who was a cult leader himself when he was the leader of Schism in NXT, and he's a tortured soul and things of that nature. Very much in the way that Bray Wyatt was. There's been those Bray Wyatt comparisons with Joe Gacy. Eric Rowan, who is the last member, the only standing member of the original Wyatt family, and how he felt forgotten and lost and needed a purpose. And the thing that brings them all together is that Uncle Howdy brings them together, and he gives them that purpose. So now they're there.
Yes, that's exactly what Rowan said.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. They come together for this one linear focus, this one linear purpose as a family, and they're bonded together. They're bonded together by their leader, which is, of course, Uncle Howdy, but he answers to a higher power, which is Bray Wyatt.
Oh, I honestly, you knocked it out of the park with that one, Con. Like, couldn't have said it better myself. And that's probably like why I picked up on like the cult leader fact. Like Uncle Howdy is the person who took up that mantle. So maybe he's being driven by a force from beyond.
Yeah.
And the Wyatt Six are, the hands and feet of that higher power. And they don't realize it because they are the abandoned, the forgotten, and the lonely. Like, one thing that really struck me, and I just said it a few minutes ago, like, if people tell you are, if you listen. Yep. And, just to hear like Eric Rowan say something like, this gave me purpose. Like, humans have purpose just by being. But if you don't realize that, and you don't have a strong semblance of selfhood, you are driven easily to the brink of insanity.
Yep, that's a great point.
Once that mental band snaps, what are you willing to do? What will you do?
It's a great point. There's so much things that tie into this Wyatt thing. I mean, it just hits on such a different level. Like it's and then of course that question is, what's next now? I mean, what is going to be next for the Wyatts? And they're kind of, the more I've been thinking about it and marinating on what you said earlier in the podcast, I could definitely see the Judgment Day coming down the pipeline for the Wyatts at some point, because what is it if it isn't a broken family? And what has the Wyatts been targeting? Broken families. So there's definitely something there, but We see the Wyatts pick up a win. I really thought they were impressive. I mean, it wasn't just, it didn't seem like that these guys were just put together like, hey, we're here to get together for Bray Wyatt. They actually have a move set they've put together, and it makes sense. And like, it feels
those
like
Uranagis are amazing.
Yes. I'm
really... just a few setups like that I picked up. Yeah. Like they were outside the ring, and they were in front of the announce table with the Creed brothers, and the Creed brothers, they're taking on it was Loomis and it was Joe Gacy, and the synchronicity I was watching, and then the Creed brothers went to throw like an overhand, and then that was the perfect setup into their crispy Uranagis, and then they were driven into the announce table. Like, they were not, like, the Creed brothers were not going to get up the same people.
No.
They were cemented into that announce table. And it was just good wrestling. I love it.
It was a really great match. So let me ask you this. I don't know how far your wrestling catalog goes back, so I'll just ask, and if you don't know, it's fine. I'll bring you up to speed. Are you aware at all of the Flock from WCW?
No, I am not, and I want to learn. Tell me.
So the
Bring that speed.
So the Flock was a mid-card stable in WCW in the mid-90s. And it was led by Raven, if you remember Raven from his time in WCW and ECW and a little bit of WWE, and he had members that kind of followed him, they were his followers, and he was very much like, it was giving like goth type vibes, like just, he was more like, his thing was quote the Raven, nevermore, and he would have these very poetic promos of his pain and everything, and there was many different iterations of it, but it had like Billy Kidman in there in WCW, and it also had Perry Saturn, he was in that group too, but there was many different variations of the Flock. And Stevie Richards was also in that group too, and Chris Kanyon was also. I was just looking it up here. So yeah, there's many different iterations of it. But I definitely 9 Inch Nails meets wrestling. Definitely voice. I definitely see that vibe. He says that Gacy looked like a mix between Kevin Owens and Sick Boy Billy Kidman, which I could definitely see that. But yes, the Wyatt Six, even though they're their own thing, for me, it's definitely giving the Ravens Flock, and like, I really like that. Like a bunch of lost souls that come together under a cult leader. That's exactly what we're seeing.
I love it. Seriously. I love a band of misfits.
Yes, it's compelling. It's compelling.
It is.
Like, to see,
because they're unhinged. What are they going to do? Why do they do things? Like, what is the purpose of their motive? And sometimes it's just to watch the world burn.
Yep. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Because they are those band of misfits, those band of outcasts that came together, and like, you never really know what they're thinking or what they're going to do. And that's the beauty of a stable like that, because one great thing about wrestling is unpredictability and not knowing what's going to happen next. And like, we can sit up here and say, oh, it would be great to see the Wyatts go up against this and this and this and this person and that person. The fact of the matter is, we're not even going to know until we get there, because we have no inkling of what they're going to do next. It's most definitely a great situation to have in wrestling, and it makes it to me, it just mixes the show up.
And you gotta have that catalyst that's not afraid to do it.
Yeah.
Because something has to offset the balance, and whether people want to admit it or not, they love chaos.
Yes. Most
I'm
definitely.
here for it.
I'm here for it too. I was actually here for this episode because this episode was great. It was another great episode of the Raw deal with Howse O'Neal. Before we slide out of here, though, I just want to get some of your last thoughts, final thoughts. If we're not digging into NXT, but we have to talk about what happened last night in the main event to NXT. Wesley, the Rascals. What? I did not expect that to happen going into that match at all. Like, usually I get a good vibe. I'm like, somebody's about to turn. This completely and totally just knocked me for a loop. It was one of those things in wrestling where I was like, it does not take a lot to shock me. This was one of those things. And the viciousness that Wesley showed in dispatching his Rascal brothers, man, it sent everybody in NXT for a loop. It sent everybody in our local Midwest wrestling community for a loop who's been brought up around these guys and have been at shows with these guys and seen them. It threw a lot of people for a loop. What was your thoughts on that whole situation as far as Wesley's unexpected turn?
You know what? It's one of those things that really punched through my chest and grabbed me by my heartstrings because I didn't expect it. And just the look of shock on Trey's face and Zach's face was insane because, like you said, like, you can usually anticipate a heel turn because some things are predictable, but when it happens to a group as tightly knit as the Rascals, it's really it's jarring. Like, why Wesley? Like,
why
you were so excited to be on the same stage, and they're really a group who broke ground in this new generation of, like, they're doing things unheard of.
Yep.
And then so soon after this long-awaited reunion, it just, like, what was present in the foundation where it started crumbling? Because I didn't see it. Usually there are signs.
Yep.
And, like, Wesley's been through a lot. He really has. All of them have. And all of them have experienced it together, these highs and the lows. Like, but why, Wesley? Why? I'm confounded.
I'm gonna tell you because I'm gonna tell you right now because it's been going through my mind. This Wesley heel turn is about to hit different because we didn't see it coming, and Wesley has potential, and he's shown that even being in a situation that it was not like when the stuff with Zach happened. That literally was completely out of Wesley's control. He had nothing to do with it. That was not his situation. But because it was his tag team partner, it's like, now he's going to, like, lightweight have to get punished for stuff that's completely out of his control because he was a tag team wrestler. And then what happened was we ended up getting one of the greatest NXT North American champions ever in Wesley, which was great, but you want to ask yourself, what was next for Wesley before the Rascals came? He had just lost to Obafemi, so he was out of the North American Championship picture. You would think that the next steps for him, logically, would be NXT World Heavyweight Championship or on to the main roster. And then they pivoted with this collaboration with TNA, and they were able to pull the Rascals from TNA on to NXT. And as you already said, Annie, so soon into this groundbreaking transition that they're making, this turn happens. I don't know what's next for Wesley, but I think we're about to see a completely different version of Wesley that honestly might elevate him.
And you know what? You bring up a really good point because, he was in the picture when all of that stuff with Zach went down. And, like, indirectly, like, he's and it's not his fault, but he's going to be held in like it's guilty by association, right? Even though he was not affected, but you're still standing in the same picture because I mean, like, our actions affect everyone, right?
Yeah.
And that's human nature. It is. And unfortunately, like, a lot of those things, like, we were in the crossfire of.
Yeah.
And maybe, like, that event happening planted the seed for some type of animosity. And maybe, like, he was so, like, psychologically affected by that uncontrollable event. Like, that was just the defense mechanism his inner thinking brain developed. And then when years down the line, the rascals reemerged onto the scene, like, maybe it triggered that same feeling he initially felt.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just a moment of self-sabotage. Like, I want what I want. I want this amazing thing. I want this awesome family back. But then at the same time, like, maybe he saw an opportunity to use this to his advantage.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why we do the things we do as a human being, but maybe that's just what the psychology of Wesley was experiencing.
That's a great point. The psychology of Wesley. And obviously, I feel like next week we're going to hear his explanation because, like, we have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the cliffhanger there,
right.
is that he did it. Why did he do it? Now, we heard him say, you left me, you know, during that beatdown. I don't know if he's going to reference, I don't think he'll directly reference why, but I think he will reference the fact that, you know, he'll probably say something along the lines of, Zachary, you made some dumb decisions and ended up getting yourself released, and you left me on my own to figure it out on my own. And finally, when I thought we were going to get it together like we always planned to do, you let me down in that tag team match, and I realized that I can't rely on anybody but myself. And that, I mean, that's literally boom, boom, boom right there, you know? Like, but I do think that there might be some different opportunities for Wesley
right.
as a heel.
I mean, who are we apart from the group? What kind of individual are we without the people we surround ourselves with? Who is the individual? What makes our identity? I mean, and sometimes we have to deviate from the crowd to find out who that is. And it's not always positive. It's not always a good thing.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good point. We're going to see what happens with Wesley. It was a compelling story, and I felt like it needed to be talked about because it really sent shockwaves through not just NXT, but once again to, like, in the entire Midwest community that's been on shows with these guys. And of course they've been all around, but like they're predominantly from the Midwest area and has been known. So like this was way bigger than WWE when this breakup happened.
Right.
It affected so many. So I felt like it had to be talked about. We talked about it. Now we're going to see what happens with Wesley past that. I think we only get a couple of more Trey Miguel and Zach Wentz appearances on NXT before they go back to TNA, because I don't think we're going to see, like, there's only going to be a few people that are going to really make that, you know, big switch. I think we're seeing it with you know, Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry, I think, is somebody that's going to make that transition from TNA to NXT full time at some point. But we'll see. We will definitely see.
He didn't appear behind you, so I'm a little disappointed.
I know.
But that's okay.
Turned around and appeared.
You know what?
Yes.
The clap would help, but
That's it. It's the clap.
I'll charge the connection later. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit
happen.
later. We'll get him here and see what the situation is. But until then, we're gonna call this a really great episode. Annie, always appreciate you coming on and taking your time on Wednesdays to come and chat me up and talk a little bit of Monday Night Raw and anything else wrestling. So, of course, I have to give you your opportunity. Go ahead and plug anything that you have to plug, your podcast, your upcoming appearances, whatever you got, go ahead and plug away.
I have an episode of Bumpin' and Thumping dropping with Leela Hall that'll come out very soon. And on deck, I have an amazing, chaotic interview lined up with Kevin Calloway. That's going to be a banger. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled on my socials for that. I think my next show is with Divine Pro. That is occurring September 6th.
Okay.
And that's going to be really fun. We have Billy Starks in the main event.
Billy is awesome.
So,
I love Billy.
And she will be in the championship match with it is Stella Buho, and I think it's Heather Blue. Anyway, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm not sorry. But yeah, lots of good things coming up. Oh, I have, like I said earlier, my first ever women's BJJ retreat coming up this weekend, and I'm really excited for that.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, I love learning from different powerful women. Like, it's a thing. Like, that's why I'm here. But
yeah,
watch the show. Also watch Swindle Liquor's Grun's Room, all of their shows, because it's in your house, and I'm happy to be here. But that's all that's going on with me.
Right on.
How about you? Take it away, house man.
No problem. And we're happy to have you in your house. And you guys already know where you guys can catch me at. I'm going to be right here doing my thing on In Your House. And, man, I got a couple of shows in the works. So I know that September 14th, that's going to be coming up. And that is going to be Emerge 81. I'll be back there on commentary. I had to miss our August show, a lot of movings from the August show, but I had to miss it. It was my kid's birthday, but I'll be back September 14th to get back on that commentary table and give you guys that workout in Columbus like you guys know that I do. On the 11th of September, I will be back at Wrestle Arts for another opportunity to be on commentary again. This is once again going to be another IWTV show. And actually, the last show that they did is now on YouTube. So that show is on there. That's Wrestle Arts 17. That's available now. You can hear my lovely voice on commentary with Jeff Edge as we commentated 3 matches. It was an awesome time. And guys, you already know right here, you got your Sunday house parties as we give you guys as much as the team as we possibly can on a Sunday, and we just break it all down, everything, all the happenings from the week. I love those Sunday shows. They're always fun. Monday, Window Liquors, you got Joshua Joseph and Grunmeister. They team up for the Raw preview show. It's always a vibe. Pretty soon we're going to get rolling, myself and Hypocrisy Jones. We're going to give you the Smoke Sesh, Hype Smoke Sesh on Tuesdays. We're going to just be talking about current events in wrestling. Not breaking down any shows, just talking about some current events. Wednesday, you already know what it is. We're here right now. It's the Raw Deal with Howse O'Neal, where we break down Monday Night Raw. And my God, have these episodes been fun, because Monday Night Raw has been funner. So that's been great. Friday, the ECW watch-alongs with myself and The Voice, Josh Joseph. Those have been great. What are myself and The Voice going to watch next on our ECW watch-along? Hey, go on the In Your House Wrestling Podcast page to find out. We're going to be dropping it here soon. Then also on Friday, it is going to be Grun's Room, where you're going to go ahead and enter his room, and he's just going to flick on SmackDown. You guys are going to talk a little SmackDown with the SmackDown preview show. We're giving you guys heavy work, staying charted, moving around, doing a whole lot of things, looking for great guests, looking to give you guys great content. And also the Jordan Dye interview coming out very, very soon. I just been trying to edit that down and get that situated and then drop that Jordan Dye interview from Wrestle Arts 17. That is coming. It was a fun episode. So you guys already know the vibes here. Alakan House, all those social medias. You guys already know if you choose to follow it. But it's In Your House Wrestling Podcast on Facebook. And that's HOWSE. And the W stands for work. So for Divinely Designed Annie O'Neal, for The Voice Josh Joseph, for the Grunmeister, for Hypocrisy Jones, for the world's most dangerous podcaster paragon, I am Alakan, the Concept House, here to remind you to tell a friend, to tell a friend to hop on this bandwagon. Get on or get gone, because the household is still going mighty strong. You guys have a great day and a great rest of your week. Peace.
Yeah. In your house with O'Con. Hey, O'Con in your house. Hollywood in your house. Hypocrisy's head in the clouds. Curating all kind of loud. Wrestling in front of the crowds. Paragon's holding it down. Anybody can get it. Josh Joseph standing on his decisions. He is the voice. There is no choice. We is them boys in your house making wrestling noise. Moving fast, it's like cruiserweight action. In your house is the perfect distraction. Pumpers in your ears when you in traction. If this work was some wrestling action. Smoke.